G'day guys, just a couple of comments. First one is that for some reason I can't flip the camera around between selfie mode and back camera on the phone for filming these things, and I'm using my phone because it's really easy for me to do any video editing. The software's right there. I think I paid like $20 for it, and yeah, no, I'm sure a GoPro would be better, but I don't have one, and then I'd have to put it onto the computer first before editing it and uploading it, and this is just a lot easier for now, but if we get a bit more serious a bit later on, we'll look at it then. Anyway, so this is the next task I'm just lining up here, and it'll probably be over a few days that we actually get this all done. So what we've sort of got is a wall that's down in the bottom story. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts holding this like in this wall, but that one is pretty much rotten through. I think there's maybe about this much wood actually left in it. That one there has my earth stake like nailed to it, but it's also swinging in the breeze. I could go push that right now and it would just flap. It's holding up absolutely nothing, and then everything else is on that last post. So I've basically got one post holding up the inside of this house from what I can tell, because the joists, one comes in from this side and then one comes in from this side, and they both meet in the middle right above that top piece of wood there. So that's sort of holding up both ends of this, and I'm sure most of us might have heard of Cave Creek and that disaster, and I'm just a little bit scared that that kind of thing is going to happen. We've been in the house about a week now, and it's okay so far, but it's just a matter of time. And there's another one over that side that's got nothing in the bottom, and pretty bad up there too. But yeah, so I figure, well, this is something that I just absolutely need to get done ASAP, because I'll give you a wee close-up. You see how squished this bottom plate was? The bottom plate was tied with these straps of metal through the concrete, but it never had any Malfoy tape under it. It never had a barrier to prevent that moisture getting up and into the wood and rotting it out. So that's what's happened. It's just completely rotted out. Not to mention this one post has borer, and it's actually bowed. There must be so much weight coming down on it, it's actually flexing in. Oh, I don't like this. Yeah, that's literally all that's left of it. So what I've got is some Malfoy tape. The lumber under here is your classic 2x4, or what is it, 50 by 100. And this stuff here, I've got 6 of these, is 100 by 100. It's all treated, and I was like, all right, well, that's the lumber I'm going to need. So I measured that up, and then figured, well, how am I actually going to, because other than just putting plywood on it, I need to make this strong. So I've made some inquiries to several different professionals, and it turns out my initial thoughts of getting these Bomac things was way overkill. They're about $30 to $40 per bit of steel, and you could use them. There's a MyTech structural building guide that sort of tells you how to accomplish what you need to accomplish, in addition to obviously the building code. Shout out to building.govt.nz. Anyway, so apparently that's way overkill and not what most people would do. What most people would do is use these things. They're called CPC 80s. I guess it's because it's 80 mils wide. But this is a concealed purlin cleat. And that'll basically go on my bottom corners and my top corners, and make sure that the posts in the middle are held as firmly as they can be to the top plate and bottom plate. So I've got a whole bunch of them. I've got some of these and some square washers to go along with them. we'll drill them down into this concrete and fix that bottom plate really, really firmly. And then we've got some of these left and right angle wall dogs. Wall dogs? I think they're just called dogs. But yeah, so they will go into the wood and then into the joists above is my plan for that. And a whole bunch of these, because when you're putting the CPC 80s in, some over here, you basically hit every big hole that there is. And it might seem like overkill, but that's just what you've got to do. So, got the materials, and once I've put all that in, that's fine, and I'll be able to line one or maybe even both sides. Because that was my thoughts, was with those Bomac big bits of steel, how do I put ply or jib on either side? Let's be honest, plywood. Because it would be in the way. And these are the answer. That's why they use these more often than not. Because they do just fine. I think it was 12 or 16 kilonewtons that they can handle. Not that I know how to measure how much force this house is actually pushing down on this one single rotten bit of wood here, but yeah, basically whatever I do, it's going to be a hell of a lot better than what is here already. And I guess after the lockdown is over, we'll just have to go in for some. Yeah, we'll just make sure that we've done everything right by the people that need to be able to make those decisions. So, biggest health and safety thing for this is, and you can see I've got a stump here under this, is to shore up on either side, because this is basically supporting two joists at the same time. I've got to have basically a temporary wall or a temporary strut, if you will, to hold up either side of those joists, so that when I take that one post out, not everything falls down, that it's actually supported on both sides when I replace and all that stuff. So I was just looking into this, and I've thrown away these. I can't remember what they're called. That's embarrassing. Pellets. Thrown away these pellets off to the side, just to see what the hell's underneath here. Looks like we've got a good amount of gravel and a whole bunch of there's like a mat or a bit of carpet over there, some clothing and shit. And it's really smelly. It smells like sulfur. So I'm basically gonna, and it's also, I don't know if you can tell this or not, but it's really, really uneven. So I do need to come in here, and this is where the next step, with a shovel, and level that out, just to make it a nice, even sort of place for the bottom. It's not really a bottom plate, but the bottom bit of wood in my temporary wall, in my shore. They call it shoring it up. So once I've cleared that out, and this side will be the same. There's a fairly big hump just in the middle there, so I'll level that out. Some of it will have to. I'll have to clear away these stones. I'll obviously get rid of the stump and make that a hell of a lot more solid and reliable if it is supposed to be holding up anything. So yeah, we'll start to look into how we do that. Hopefully there's just enough wood around here that we can sort of put it all together and level it out, or I don't know, we'll make something happen there. In terms of my cables and plumbing for the top plate on these temporary walls, I'm just gonna have to move them to the side. There is a bit of plumbing and a bit of that's actually the camera cable there, but I can just move both of them to the side, and we'll be able to get that right in line. The other consideration I've got is that these bits of wood were too tall or not tall enough, because I sort of just had to get what I could while I was at Mitre 10, and they come in 6 metre lengths, and I measured from the top of this concrete to, I think it was the underside of that top plate, and I was like, alright, so 3 metres should be enough, and okay, these things come in 6 metres, but I can't carry that in the trailer, so I'll just get 7 of these cut in half, and then that was 14, which is how many I thought that I needed to be able to do this. And looking at that will quite happily, I might even have to cut a little bit away to bring it down so that it'll fit. but it is definitely a good thing for me to have it slightly too long than slightly too short. Because if it was slightly too short, then I literally could not do this and be comfortable during this lockdown period. Also had a nice little tip from a builder, but we'll get to this later on, that you cut maybe just a 10-degree angle off the bottom of it, so when you're knocking them in, which forces it up and sort of pushes up on the floor to give you that little bit of clearance you need to knock the rest of this out. Yeah, if you put just a little bit of a slant on the very bottom of it when you're knocking it in, it slides a lot easier than having just that straight corner as it is. So, this is the job. Oh, and yeah, got to rip out a little bit of this cable that's going to be in the way, because it's just completely unnecessary. This black one here is just coax. No one uses coax anymore. And this one here was another bit of rubber from downstairs that went to the hallway, but that is so brittle, it was just destroyed. I don't know why it wasn't fed from there going up into the hallway there, the power point in the hallway. Right, so that's the job. And we've got a little bit of shovel work to go. So, thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate all the comments and the support. Having a lot of fun doing this still, so that's all cool. But there's just a shitload more to go. So, yeah, if you keep the comments up and keep the likes up and stuff like that, it gives me a bit more motivation to keep going. So I do appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. Peace. And one more thing, just while I'm rewatching this back, I needed to make sure that the materials that I'm going to use are equal, if not better or greater or more than what was like originally there. And even down to the size of that post. That post is actually, I think it's 75 by 90. So in both dimensions, the posts I'm going to be putting in are bigger, stronger, and more solid. And so, yeah, just thought I'd clear that up as well.